Hi everyone, my name is Shelby Reagan and I am a future special education teacher. Today I want to briefly talk about how special education law has changed over time and why that history still matters to families. The rights students with disabilities have today developed through years of advocacy, court decisions, and changes to federal law. It did not happen overnight. Understanding this history can help families better understand their rights and feel more confident participating in their child's education. Before 1970, students with disabilities were excluded from public schools or had very limited educational opportunities. Parents, disability rights organizations, and the growing civil rights movement spent years pushing for change. The 1954, Brown versus Board of Education established the principle of equal educational opportunity. Although it was not a special education case, the decisions later influenced families and advocates fighting for children with disabilities to also have access to public education. That fight continued into the early 1970s. Park versus Commonwealth of Pennsylvania helped establish that children with intellectual disabilities could benefit from education and not simply be denied from public school. Soon after that, Mills versus Board of Education expanded protections to students with different disabilities and helped establish important rights for families, including being notified about educational decisions and having the opportunity to challenge them. These cases helped show why federal protections were needed. In 1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act established nationwide rights to a free, appropriate public education, individualized educational programs, education in the least restricted environment, and procedural safeguards for families. In 1990, the law became known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. IDEA has continued to evolve with greater attention placed on parent involvement, individual services, and student progress. The two cases I want to discuss, the first one is Board of Education versus Raleigh. Amy Raleigh was a deaf student whose parents requested a sign language interpreter. The schools denied their request because Amy was progressing academically with supports she already had. The Supreme Court decided that schools are required to provide an appropriate education, but not necessarily the best possible education or one that maximizes a student's full potential. This case shaped how schools and courts interpret FAPE, or the free appropriate public education, for many years. The second case I want to talk about is Andrew F. versus Douglas County School District. Andrew was a student with autism whose parents were concerned that he was making very little progress and his IEP was staying the same continuously year after year. They eventually enrolled him in a private school where he made significant progress. In 2017, the Supreme Court clarified that an IEP should be designed to help a student make progress based on their individual circumstances, so it should change. The court also emphasized that educational programs should be appropriately ambitious and give students opportunities to work towards a challenging goal. For parents, these cases show why the involvement in the IEP process and asking questions and paying attention to the progress of your child is so important. Before I wrap up, I want to leave families with 3 resources to use for information and support. The first one is Michigan Alliance for Families. It's a parent-friendly resource/website with information about special education rights and IEPs, along with support from parent mentors if you don't know where to start. The Michigan Department of Public Education Office of Special Education, the website, provides official information about special education policies and safeguards regarding procedures and dispute resolution. And finally, the U.S. Department Education IDEA website provides federal regulations and policy guidance and updates regularly about special education law. Special education law has come a long way, but understanding these rights is still important for families today. Parents and guardians play an important role in their child's education, and knowing your rights can make it a lot easier to ask questions, speak up, and participate in these decisions. I hope this video gives you a better understanding of special education law and gives you a few resources to turn to for information and support. Thank you for watching.